Imagine a world where the pursuit of pleasure is the ultimate goal. A world where happiness is measured by the number of material possessions, the frequency of parties, and the instant gratification of desires. This is the world of hedonism. Hedonism, the belief that pleasure and happiness are the highest goods, seems appealing at first glance. Who wouldn't want to live a life full of joy and pleasure? However, what happens when this pursuit becomes excessive? What are the consequences of a society focused solely on personal gratification? In this video, we will explore the roots of hedonism, how it has evolved over time, and the impact it has had on modern society. We will uncover the dark side of a philosophy that prioritizes pleasure above all else and examine the toll it has taken on our environment, relationships, mental health, and moral values. Let's dive right in. The roots of hedonism. Humans have always chased after pleasure and tried to avoid pain. It's part of our nature, but the idea of hedonism as a structured way of thinking about life started in ancient Greece. Philosophers like Epicurus and Aristippus were some of the first to talk about this in a formal way. Epicurus, for example, believed that the best pleasures come from the mind, like having good friends, learning new things, and finding inner peace. He thought that living a balanced life, enjoying simple pleasures without going overboard, was the key to happiness. For him, some desires like food, shelter, and friendship are necessary, but chasing too much wealth or luxury could lead to more trouble than happiness. Aristippus, on the other hand, believed in enjoying physical pleasures and immediate gratification. If something felt good and didn't cause pain, he thought it was worth pursuing, no matter if it was a simple or luxurious pleasure. These early ideas laid the groundwork for hedonism as a way of thinking about life. However, as time passed, people started interpreting hedonism differently. It shifted from a balanced approach to an extreme pursuit of pleasure. This change has had a big impact on how we live today. In the next sections, we'll see how this shift to extreme pleasure-seeking has affected our world in many ways. Shift to extreme hedonism. Over time, the balanced approach to hedonism evolved into something more extreme. This shift didn't happen overnight. It was influenced by several factors. One major factor was the Industrial Revolution. With mass production, goods became more accessible and affordable. People started to accumulate more things, believing that owning more would make them happier. This marked the beginning of consumer culture, where happiness is often measured by how much we own. Another significant influence was the cultural changes in the 1960s. This era celebrated individual freedom and self-expression. People began to see the pursuit of personal pleasure as a way to break free from traditional norms. While this brought about many positive changes, it also contributed to the idea that instant gratification was key to happiness. Then came the digital age. Technology made everything faster and more accessible. Social media, online shopping, and streaming services gave us instant access to whatever we wanted. This reinforced the idea that happiness can be achieved through immediate gratification. This shift from a balanced philosophy to extreme hedonism has profound effects on our society. Instead of finding joy in simple, meaningful experiences, many people started seeking constant stimulation and pleasure. This relentless pursuit can lead to a range of problems, which we will explore in the next sections. Consumerism and materialism. As hedonism became more extreme, consumerism and materialism took root in society. People began to believe that owning more things would make them happier and more successful. Advertising and media play a huge role in this. Every day we see ads telling us that buying the latest product will bring us happiness. This constant push to buy more creates a cycle of always wanting the next big thing. This has several negative consequences. First, the constant demand for new products leads to excessive production and waste. Factories pollute the air and water, forests are cut down, and landfills fill up with discarded items. For example, the fashion industry produces clothes quickly and cheaply to meet new trends. This results in huge amounts of waste and pollution from toxic dyes and chemicals. Consumerism also widens the gap between the rich and the poor. Wealthy people can buy more and live luxurious lives, while those with less money struggle to keep up. Luxury brands create a sense of exclusivity that only the wealthy can afford. This makes others feel inadequate and fosters resentment. Many people go into debt trying to meet these societal expectations. Credit card companies and lenders take advantage of this desire for more, leading to financial stress. Easy access to credit allows people to buy things they can't afford. This results in high-interest debt that's hard to pay off. This financial stress can negatively impact mental health. Extreme consumerism can also harm personal relationships. When people prioritize material goods, they may become selfish, putting their own desires above the needs of others. This can strain family relationships and friendships. Constantly seeking personal gratification can lead to neglecting meaningful social interactions, causing loneliness and isolation. Strong communities rely on mutual support and shared values, but when everyone is focused on their own pleasure, community bonds weaken and social support systems break down. The relentless pursuit of material goods also affects mental health. Constantly seeking pleasure sets unrealistic expectations for happiness. When these expectations aren't met, it can lead to feelings of inadequacy, depression, and anxiety. The desire for instant gratification can lead to addictive behaviors, not just with substances, but also with shopping and social media. These addictions harm mental health and disrupt daily life. Overindulging in pleasure can make it hard to appreciate simple, meaningful joys, leading to a sense of emptiness. Consumerism and materialism, driven by extreme hedonism, have significant impacts on our environment, economy, relationships, and mental health. By understanding these impacts, we can start to address the root causes and work towards a more balanced and fulfilling way of life. Extreme hedonism ruined relationships. Extreme hedonism doesn't just affect our wallets and the environment, it also impacts our relationships. When people focus too much on their own pleasure, they can become selfish. They might prioritize their own desires over the needs and well-being of others. This can strain family relationships and friendships. For example, a person might spend more time and money on personal luxuries instead of spending quality time with family or helping friends in need. This behavior can create feelings of neglect and resentment among loved ones. The constant pursuit of personal gratification can lead to neglecting meaningful social interactions. People might choose to chase fleeting pleasures instead of building deep, lasting connections. This can result in feelings of loneliness and social isolation. Strong communities are built on mutual support and shared values. When everyone is focused on their own pleasure, community cohesion weakens. Social support systems break down, leaving individuals without the help and sense of belonging they need. In a hedonistic society, people may become less interested in helping others and more focused on what they can gain for themselves. This can lead to a lack of empathy and a weakening of social bonds. Extreme hedonism ruined mental health. The relentless pursuit of pleasure can also take a toll on mental health. Constantly seeking pleasure creates unrealistic expectations for happiness. When these expectations aren't met, it can lead to feelings of inadequacy, depression, and anxiety. People may feel that they're failing if they're not always happy. The desire for instant gratification can lead to addictive behaviors. This includes not only substance abuse, but also addictions to shopping, social media, and other forms of pleasure. These addictions can further harm mental health and disrupt daily life. Overindulgence in pleasure-seeking can diminish the capacity to experience genuine joy. When life is filled with constant stimulation, simple, meaningful pleasures may lose their appeal. This can lead to a sense of emptiness and dissatisfaction. Mental health issues can also arise from the stress of trying to maintain a lifestyle focused on constant pleasure. The pressure to always feel happy and fulfilled can be overwhelming. Extreme hedonism caused ethical and moral decline. Extreme hedonism can lead to ethical and moral decline. When personal pleasure is the highest good, actions that harm others may be justified. People might lie or cheat to get ahead, believing that the end justifies the means. This can erode trust and create a more hostile and competitive environment. Increased crime and corruption can also result from a hedonistic mindset. When people prioritize their own pleasure and gain over ethical behavior, they may resort to illegal activities. This undermines societal trust and stability, leading to a breakdown in social order. Traditional social norms and values may be disregarded in the pursuit of pleasure. This can lead to a loss of respect for laws, traditions, and community standards. As moral boundaries blur, it becomes harder to distinguish right from wrong, creating confusion and conflict. Extreme hedonism, ruined environment. The pursuit of pleasure often involves overconsumption, leading to significant environmental consequences. Excessive production and consumption result in pollution of air, water, and land. Factories release harmful chemicals and waste disposal systems are overwhelmed. This pollution affects wildlife, ecosystems, and human health. Continuous consumption depletes natural resources such as forests, minerals, and water. This not only affects current generations but also jeopardizes the future. For example, deforestation for agricultural and industrial purposes reduces biodiversity and contributes to climate change. The collective impact of overconsumption contributes to global warming. The increased carbon footprint from manufacturing, transportation, and waste accelerates climate change, causing severe weather patterns and ecological damage. Extreme hedonism, ruined culture. A society focused on hedonism may neglect important cultural and intellectual pursuits. When immediate pleasure is prioritized, investments in arts, education, and intellectual pursuits may decline. This can lead to a less informed and culturally rich society. People may become less interested in learning and more focused on entertainment and material possessions. Reduced civic engagement can also result from a hedonistic society. People may show less interest in community involvement and social responsibilities. This can weaken democratic institutions and reduce collective action for the common good. The focus on the present and immediate pleasure can lead to a disregard for historical and cultural heritage. Important traditions and knowledge may be lost, diminishing cultural identity. When society values instant gratification over long-term growth, it can result in cultural stagnation. Counteracting extreme hedonism. Should you stop enjoying pleasure now? Not really. Remember, the problem is extreme hedonism. It's a problem when you chase pleasure in extremes without looking at the consequences. Hedonism itself is neither good nor bad. When done mindfully and in moderation, it can contribute to happiness and well-being. We still need pleasure. Pleasure makes us feel good. And we also need pain. It keeps us in check. The key is to find a balance. Extreme hedonism is the bad aspect of hedonism. It makes you more and more selfish. It is difficult to overcome because we are now heavily conditioned to chase pleasure. Slowly, by raising awareness and educating on its negative consequences, we can help people gain more control over their choices or pursuits. Only by building self-control through mental toughness can we win over our tendency to chase pleasure.